Yeah, so now we're moving into your favorite, which is Emerald Tablet 10, the Key of Time.
Yeah, so he really thoughts about, or he really thoughts, he really starts this tablet off with learn of the thought that grew in the abyss, bringing order and harmony to space. So that made me think of the word again. And the abyss has to be the void. If the void is bringing order to harmony in space.
We'll ask for
Yeah,
sure.
definitely. But no, maybe it's not the maybe the void's not the abyss because he actually mentions the word the void.
If only we could channel and get this answer.
It's so
If
cool
only,
being an open channel. I'm like, oh yeah, I can get that information.
right. But the thing about being an open channel is like, yes, we have access to it, but in our day-to-day life, we don't use it as much as you may think we do.
That or sometimes I get shut down where they're like, nope, you need to learn this lesson on your own, and then it just makes me sad.
Yeah. What did you give me this gift for? Um, I love that all exists because of the law. Know it and be free. And it's like, okay, I've been saying that, like, where in this does it talk about the law? Like, give me the 1 through 5 of what the law is, and I'll be okay. And I think it's more of a hypothetical thing. It's not hypothetical, but it's more of a you have to dive into and connect more with these words and connect more with the channelings. And I think that's where, by going into the halls of a mentee, they're saying, go there. We're pushing you. You can do this. And if we didn't dangle this little carrot in front of you to actually go to the halls, to talk to the dwellers, to get this information, talk to the laws of cycles or the lords of cycles, sorry, then you wouldn't like, why would we give it to you all? Like that's not the point of all of this. Like you can do this. Like push yourself, go and astral travel, engage in these things, and we'll give you that information.
Yeah, that's what I love about the Emerald tablets so much is that they actually show you how to get this information on your own. And I also love how they say that time is the secret to be free of space. And time doesn't exist, clocks do. And when you really start to think about this from a higher perspective, it's really interesting because if you can really learn to stay present in your life, you do start to learn that time is completely relative. And we did talk about this before, where in the last tablet, where time is just how quickly you are vibrating through space, how long it's taking you to vibrate through space. So it's so interesting to think about Einstein's theory of relative I can't speak today. Einstein's theory of relativity.
Hold on, I gotta stop giggling when you say it. Okay, go.
Einstein's theory of relativity is so important because then we realize that if we uplift our frequency and we're vibrating more quickly, then time will speed up. Carrie, I had a download during this. What we could, if we learn to master our vibration, what if the superpower of freezing time is just slowing down our vibration so much that we stop vibrating through time?
I think that's probably what it is. And it's like, well, then how do you reverse vibration to be a time traveler? How do you go back in time? That's now, okay, now we stop time. We got that down. How do you reverse it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just got done watching The Umbrella Academy and he travels through time. And so to read this right after watching The Umbrella Academy has been so interesting.
Well, and then this goes to show when you go and you forgive and you just heal and have more of a neutral state of being when you go back to the things that happened in your past, your presumed past, right? or heal your inner child, do that work, how it really does change the timeline you're currently on. Because time doesn't exist. So you're just going to a different frame. Like if you have a film reel, we're in a film frame here, and we're just going to a different place, a different snapshot in that film reel before. And so now that it just changes the whole movie.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you use these tablets to get into the higher realms, you can see past, present, and future all at once. It's really nice actually, because then you can learn how to tune yourself to the different experiences that you want to have in your life.
And, just finding more and more truth and finding more and more wisdom just grows infinity. Like that's what, and I know we did have a session when they really talked about that, but how it really just creates the infinite. The more and more perspectives we all create to get to upload into the all's brain, I guess, the master file, the more and more it just creates a longer film reel. And, what really is time then?
Yeah, it's so interesting when you really start to think about it. I also love how he says if that in the void, first there was a thought which was eternal. And so, if this thought was eternal, then that means time must exist. So, when God spoke the word, if you even want to go back to the Bible, this frequency was eternal. And so, if anything is eternal or infinite, then you have to have time.
Right, because every time there's another choice or another cause, it creates another effect. And so that just creates this eternal connection.
So, what do you think it means when he says that time floats fixed in a state? It doesn't change.
Exactly that it's a film reel, that the time, like the construct. So say you have this film, you know how they do cartoons in like the old ways they used to do them, not digitally, but paint them. You'd have this backdrop, and then they take that transparent film with the now like painted animated character, and that they would the thing that changed was that transparent film state that they would put on there, and the character was moving. They'd paint it with its arm up, and then the next one the arm was down a little bit, and then the next one and eventually those all together like created the motion and the movie. Well, I feel like the backdrop is time, right? So you're that backdrop is time, and that we are the movement state. We are that painted animated object, and we're that one actually changing and moving.
Yeah, I love that explanation. And it reminds me, so he also goes in to say how time holds events as separate in its proper place. So the way that I've seen the higher realms, the sense you can see past, present, and future all at once in the higher realms, the way that they show it to me is a deck of cards. And so the deck of cards that you can see any event of that lifetime, and you can pull and experience any event within that deck of cards. So I guess you're saying that like time for those deck of cards is like the thickness of the deck of cards.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, in a different way. Yeah. I mean, there's so many different ways we can explain it. But you know how our brain files things, and how, I mean, I see a certain thing and it triggers a thought, and then usually I make a joke out of it. Like that's how my brain files things out of humor, I'm telling you. Like, and it's you know, but how time is that same way, how our time is just a way for us to file things away for when they occurred. And how we just don't actually move through time, we move from event to event. So that's why we go in cycles. Is a cycle doesn't necessarily amount of time. A cycle is until you've mastered that event, and then you go to the next event.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it does make things seem like we are existing separately, that is for sure.
So then he goes on to say how humans are in waking sleep, never able to know who they truly are, unaware of unconscious motivations. And I guess reading this, it made me feel a little bit better to see how far the collective has come, because I know it feels like there's a lot of chaos and it feels like humanity's not doing very good because we just feel very overwhelmed with it right now. But if you step back and be the observer to see how humans are starting to awaken and not as many humans are in their waking sleep, it's actually pretty beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, this is like the final step before the, you know, being free, being truly free, and a freedom that no one can take away. And that we're all getting here and we're all getting to this place and ready to just be like, go for it. I mean, it's a hard place because it's uncomfortable. It's we haven't been here before. Maybe we have in a different cycle. I'm not sure. I don't remember it. But it's just a really beautiful place. It's that right before, like when you draw back a bow and arrow, right when you draw back that bow, it's that tension, it's that tightness, it's that uncomfortability of that string being taut. And then it's just the release. And then it flies. And
I
we're
love
just
that.
almost there. Yeah, we're almost there. It just doesn't feel comfortable, and that's okay. We just have to be able to be okay with it not feeling comfortable, but not react to it being uncomfortable. Be like, okay, it's uncomfortable. Yeah. I'm not sure what to do here. Okay. But do I need to react and then run back to my old ways and be like, I just want to go back to bed? No. We'll figure it out together, we have the tools to get there. It's uncomfortable right now.
Yeah, so he also says to open above and below, say the word Zen Yuru, and power ye shall find. So this is also something that I want to ask him. Again, he's using another cymatic frequency that we can use in our own lives to really find the power between space and time. But I want to ask him exactly when to use this phrase and what it's for just a little bit of clarification.